Can we try something new? Let's look at the relationship advice subreddit and see what we find there. Fiance 36 female didn't want to sign a prenup with me, 33 male, got inheritance, now wants prenup. A little background here is that I make around $250K a year. My fiance makes around $65K a year. We've both been divorced. I asked for a prenup protecting my existing assets, 2 rental properties worth around $400K together, my retirement account, my house which I live in, existing savings accounts, and just sentimental things. I offered to pay for a lawyer for her and make anything earned after the wedding fair game in a divorce split. In my previous divorce, my ex took a lot that I had even before we met each other, and took a lot of things with sentimental value just to hurt me. I floated the idea of a prenup and she was not okay with it. It hurt her feelings, and she said I was planning for a divorce if I want a prenup. She had this idea that we would marry and everything becomes ours. We've been dating for 4 years and had very few bumps, so I don't see a super high risk of divorce, but I do acknowledge it's there. Anyways, I love her, and I said sure. Fast forward a couple of months, her grandma abruptly died. Wasn't expected. Grandmother was quite healthy before, had a heart attack. Apparently, the grandmother left the entire estate to her, worth roughly $800K. Now the tables have turned and she wants a prenup protecting these assets from me, which I was fine with, but she doesn't want to sign my prenup in return for that. Her reasoning is that her grandmother wouldn't have wanted her wealth to leave her direct family, and that there was a reason it was all left to me, and not my siblings or parents, and that the prenup must not have been important to me because I threw out the idea after minimal pushback. I'm at a loss here. In one regard, I'm glad we had prenup discussions because it brought up these sides of us, but I'm really wondering if this 4-year relationship that has been full of nothing but love and support for each other until now is even salvageable. She's not willing to budge on her own prenup like I was, and I'm finding this whole situation very frustrating. This seems like a real pickle. Really? A real one? This is the biggest pickle I've ever seen. That's a Bluey reference, sorry. This is a follower submission, so thank you very much for submitting this into us. We love getting these kinds of things. So let's take a look at some of the top comments on here. This one from Designer Memory says, maybe highlight the fact that she said that a prenup meant that there was a plan for divorce. Ask her how your request is different from if you planned on keeping your wealth and assets and your direct family too. A compromise will definitely be needed from your fiance. Don't budge on your prenup, it's reasonable. She should understand where you're coming from, especially since she seems to feel the same about protecting important assets. If there's hostility because of the prenups, it's definitely worth waiting until it's resolved before moving ahead with the wedding. 1000%. So either there's a resolution that is found here or there's not. I mean, that's the fork in the road, right? Either you guys figure this out or you don't. And like you said, this whole situation bringing out these sides of you is something that is important because sooner or later you're going to see sides of your significant other that you didn't know existed in the wine and roses phase. So thank goodness for that. It obviously is necessary because she's finding it necessary to protect her side of things. And with an inheritance, I understand where she's coming from, but I understand where you're coming from as well. The fact that she doesn't understand where you're coming from, if nothing else, says to me that she views her assets as more important than yours. Her assets are emotionally significant to her, and she doesn't understand that yours are as well. And I'm sure that you've already done this in conversations, but drawing that connecting line to say, no, these things are important to me, that thing is important to you, that's why we protect both of them. If she is not willing to allow you to protect anything, but wants to protect things herself, you're starting off with an extreme imbalance in this relationship. And, while no relationship can ever be perfectly balanced, this is a pretty important one to get right and to find balance in. And if she's not willing to let the scales balance in this situation, then definitely don't get married yet. I don't know that time solves the problem here. Maybe a break, if it comes to that. I hope it doesn't come to that, because money ruins things, right? The lack of money ruins things too. The whole subject of it, the greed that comes out of us just ruins a lot of good things. And I think that's what you saw with her right here. Your fiance transformed into Gollum, and all it took was her grandmother passing. So now she has the shiny ring that she'll do anything for, which, by the way, let's follow that pattern for a second. If she'll do anything to protect what's hers, does she even want to be with you anymore? And maybe the fact that she's sticking to her guns so much means that she doesn't. Maybe she thinks she doesn't need you anymore because she's got this whole freaking $800,000 estate to her own now. Does she want to still be with you? I might ask that question directly and say, look, now that you have this, do you even want to be with me anymore? How has your vision for the future changed because of this $800,000 inheritance? It has to have changed. It would change anyone. How did it change? And are you in that vision? Kind of sounds like you're not. I hope you are, but this would force her to say, yes, I want you in that. And then if that's the case, it's pretty easy. Okay, if you want me to be in that, we have to balance the equation right now. I'm allowing you to protect, you allow me to protect. We move forward, walking down the aisle. If she's not willing to do that, then I don't think her vision of the future includes you, man. I'm sorry. Better to find out now. But hey, maybe since she has this $800,000 inheritance, if you guys do get married, she's less likely to take everything that you own because she's got her own. It's a shitty way of thinking, but it's something you have to account for. Good luck. Godspeed to you. Now we're going to have to come up with some kind of relationship scale. Like we have the ASCON scale, the scale of assholery. We need to come up with something that is the scale of likelihood that this relationship succeeds. I'd feel like a terrible human being for creating that. I'll have it done Thursday.